Mavericks with a much needed, looking for revenge. They get a much needed win over the Miami Heat last night on TNT. Good morning, Metroplex. 8 o'clock hour here on Shan, RJ, and Bobby. I was thinking with 4 minutes left, they're going to screw this up. How are they going to go ahead and lose this one? But it was really a barrage of threes. And Exum ended up being the Exum factor.
No.
Exum, who really does not look like a basketball player.
No.
He looks like a heavier Boris Diaw. And Boris Diaw was like kind of chubby running around out there. But Exum, Luka, Kyrie threes. Exum then hit a two-pointer. That put him up 7, and that was night-night after it looked like Miami was going to score 160. It looked like they were going to drop 160 on the Mavericks, but the defense buckled down. 25 points or less in all the quarters following the first. And Jason Kidd was asked, hey, we know this is the number one topic. What changed?
Just being tied together, it's not easy. It's going to be ups and downs. You're going to be tested. I thought the group that started, we got backdoored a little bit too much, trying to run, making sure Duncan wasn't going to shoot threes, and he back cut us a little bit. Jimmy got to the middle, which he loves to do, and then that puts a lot of pressure on the defense, so that opened up some threes. But I thought the guys, again, mentally stayed the course. No one's panicked, and we had a good home win.
No one's panicked. No one's dying. Simple.
Man, his blood pressure, I thought he'd be a little bit more hype, but he looks like he is
110/70. I would kill. They don't have the amount of pills I take. They don't make pills for me to get my blood pressure down enough to be Jason Kidd right now. He is so even keeled. For somebody who's about to get fired, he is so even keeled.
Well, Tim Legler talked about Jason Kidd possibly getting fired if the defense doesn't get fixed.
I personally think that Jason Kidd is in trouble.
Man.
They are a sieve defensively right now again. And as everybody knows, I've been high on them when they made those acquisitions. And I thought, man, you got these two guys playing this well together. You get them in a 7-game series. That's a problem for teams if these pieces are all fitting. And it looked like it was there. And then all of a sudden you look up, Adam, they've lost 5 out of 6 games, and they're just getting absolutely destroyed. They've given up, 130 plus points in 3 of those losses. And it's just not competitive. They look frustrated. Luka looks frustrated. He's got 4 straight 30-point triple-doubles in losses.
Yeah.
So, at some point, he's the kind of guy, he's a little bit petulant at times. I think Jason Kidd's in trouble.
If you pick up from the 10-minute mark of the second quarter, so, essentially the last 3 quarters of the game,
defense.
Miami shot under 40% last night, which is that's the kind of thing that it feels like they are capable of as long as the effort's there. As long as the effort and the communication are on point,
yeah,
it feels like they're capable of that. It's just it's not been there consistently enough, and it's tough to when you see a lack of motivation and then you hear Jason Kidd talking like this. It's like, okay, are you just mirroring the lack of intensity from your own head coach?
Derek Lively said that our problem is not our first and second effort, it's the third and fourth effort. So when they cross half court, we're fine. After the first pass or 2 is made, it's fine. But then it's our third and fourth effort that costs us. Last night, it looked much better, especially in the second half. By the way, I said this to start the show. I kind of thought about the Cowboys in the playoffs. When you watch the divisional round and then the conference championship, you're like, oh, that's what really, really high quality level football looks like. That's something the Cowboys are not capable of. That's how I felt last night watching Denver-Boston after our game. Did anyone else watch that? Truckwreck.com text line 877-881-1053. I know Choppy was watching Lincoln Riley. I know Bobby was packing for Tarleton.
I watched the first few minutes of it.
Fast, crisp, high level, passing everywhere. It was just like, okay, this is another level. This is another level of hoops. The Denver Nuggets are going to repeat as NBA champions. Last night, they beat the mighty Boston Celtics, and maybe Defensive Player of the Year and Play of the Year, Anthony Edwards' block at the end of the game. That was stupid. He hit his daggone head on the backboard.
It was incredibly impressive. Now, here's the thing that you had people split on. You either could say, what a play, and then you had some others. I think Jesse Holly even said it on Twitter. They're like, You don't need to run down there for your little Superman block if you don't miss the free throw down at the other end, Ant.
No. Whoever argues that. I know
it was a fantastic play. I mean, he's such a
crazy.
He is so fun to watch play basketball. He's a little bit of a D-bag, but he is so fun to watch.
Yeah, really unlikable off the floor. He's a freak. He's an absolute freak. And I thought he was hurt at the beginning of this game following the Karl Anthony Towns out for the season news.
The Anthony Edwards, it stunned me because, like, in college, he was a really good player, right? But usually, like, great players in basketball, it takes one player.
Where did he play?
He played at Georgia. They were 5-13 in conference that year.
Wow.
You know, like, with the number one pick, with a great player, that doesn't happen that often.
It's so. Here's what's refreshing about Anthony Edwards is in an era where we're getting the
He's a dog.
Yeah, where we're getting the Jokic and the Wemby and the Giannis, those types who all are great players, but talk sort of like, hey, basketball is not the main thing in my life. There's another part of it. Like, Ant is the throwback to the Jordan Kobe mentality.
Yes.
Of like, I don't have friends. I'm just a dog, and you know, this is about me versus you, and I don't have friends here on the basketball court. That is one thing that I love about Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, guys, Tolo's waiting on the fan text. 512 says Kid is trying too hard to protect Luka, says his defense and temper is a massive issue that's affecting his leadership. And then Shan, the 682, Denver and Boston was close the entire game. It's real NBA basketball.
Yes, it was impressive. It's just another level if you watch it. It did not take too long for it to become obvious, just like playing Daniel Gafford more minutes, as Jason Kidd started him last night. But before the game, a lot of people, Pepe sent this to us. A lot of people were interested in the Inside the NBA discussion. Went 4 minutes. We cut up a lot of it here between Barkley and Shaq talking about Luka's game. They disagreed. Let's see which side of the argument y'all are on.
The Mavericks frustrate me so much because they should be so much better. We make a big deal out of Luka's numbers. His numbers should be going down. When you play with better players, when you're a great player, the better players you play with, your numbers should go down. He's got to do a much better job of getting rid of the ball, using those other guys. And they're playing the same way they played when they didn't have any talent. They got P.J. Washington and
Daniel Gafford.
And Gafford. Luka, as great as he is, he's got to learn to play without the basketball. Ernie, when you play, and Shaq would know this better, and Kenan knows this also. When you play with better players as a great player, the game should be easier, not harder. Your numbers should go down, not up. And his numbers are going up. That's why they're not winning.
You know,
Then they got into a whole fight, which we'll play, about the last dance, how Charles said 37 points is too much. He needs to be at 31. And I was thinking of you with Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy, like, you should be scoring less. You should be scoring less points. What you would say to that discussion that Luka is scoring too much. And they were talking about Michael. His 3 highest scoring years, I think, came before the first title.
Oh, yeah. They were all back in the 80s for the most part. But yeah, it's like the Kellen Moore thing is a little different because it's like the team is not trying to score less in basketball, right? It's just the individual player scores less because everybody else around him is scoring more. And the team as a whole is better. And look, you do, at the end of the day, you need, and this will happen at no matter what level of basketball it is, all the way down, you know, from middle school and high school. There's a point where the ball is in the hands of your dude. Okay, that'll happen. But before that, the ball is in the hands of anybody. And you don't necessarily have to be as ball dominant as he is. And I understand what he's saying. And I think generally, like, he's got a point there. The better players you're around, the less you're going to score as the top guy because other guys are scoring for you too.
Here's Shaq disagreeing with Charles over Luka.
I disagree, and I'll explain in a moment. Kyrie and Luka, they both have the same problems. They do what great players do, but they don't do what the greatest players do. I don't think their numbers should go down. If you're going to have your numbers like that, you should be able to do both. And it's been done. Michael Jordan numbers didn't get to go down when he started winning.
Actually, they did.
No, he did.
Yes, they did go down.
He was able to do both. Michael Jordan was the leading scorer in the league when he was winning championships.
But his numbers went down, Shaq.
I was the leading scorer in the league when I did championships. So let's just say Luka's number is 30. You can still average 30 and get other people involved. That's what I'm saying. Whether his numbers went down or not, you can do both. Whatever Luka wants his number to be. My number was 28-10. I'm going to get my 28 no matter what. But Big Shot Bob's in the corner. Rick Fox is right there. Brian Shaw is right there.
The difference is people had to get you the ball. Luka has the ball. He's got to get rid of the ball more often.
And Michael got rid of the ball and still was the leading
But I'm
scorer
saying
in the
it's a
league.
different thing. Like they had to give you the ball to be the great player you were. Luka starts with the ball. He's got to get off the ball.
Jordan averaged 37 in 1986-87 season. That was his first year back after the foot injury. Then he averaged 35 the next year. And now both of those, they got Pippen, I think, in the second round, like the second season of that number. And then he averaged 32.5, then 33.5. And then they won their first title the year after.
Yeah, he was still scoring 30 to 32.
Even when
years.
Yeah, even when he was winning titles, all right, he was still leading the league in scoring. The first year he averaged 31.5, then 30, then 32.5.
Oh, man.
And then 30.5, and then 29.5, and then 28.5.
I think Luka probably has like 3 bad shots a game. Okay, last night he took a couple, and I'm like, no, don't do that. At least pass the ball once. And I've said this for years about him. What the F else you want him to do? Are you serious? You watch the Dallas Mavericks play, and you don't think he's getting other people involved, that he's always looking for the alley-oop, that he's always finding the guys in the corner. He's third in the league in assists.
Is he getting other people involved, or is he using them as last resorts?
That's a good question.
Because I do think there's a difference. Like Russ Russ averages triple-double. Nobody ever accused Russ of
getting him involved.
Getting people involved.
That could be a really good point.
Think how many...
Could be. I didn't say it was.
Think about how many shots aren't finished.
50-50 proposition. At best. Really like 25-70.
Think about how many shots aren't finished off of a Luka kick, though. Whether it be like one of these Tim Hardaway Jr. bricks or those YOLO shots from him or whatever else. Like, there's plenty of times, I think, where Luka distributes the ball where I'm frustrated and I'm like, why the hell are you kicking it out? Why are you distributing here? Like, go just finish the play. Like, there's a lot of times where I think he's not selfish enough. It's just that he's so good. What do you want? It's like the CeeDee Lamb thing. You're forcing CeeDee Lamb to it. Nobody's better than CeeDee Lamb. Get CeeDee Lamb the ball. I don't care. I don't want Michael Gallup to get 8 targets. I don't want Tim Hardaway Jr. to get 12 shots.
Yeah.
It's just use your best players the way they need to be used.
What do y'all think? Whose side are you on? Shaq is saying he can do all of it. Charles is saying he needs to score less. He needs to go from about 37 to 31. Now, he's not averaging 37, but on this current run that he's on, he has been. I think he's the only player in NBA history now with 4 straight 35-point or more game triple-doubles. Luka freaking Doncic.